All right, well, I'm not gonna lie. This is a video I didn't really want to make, so I just want to point out that the game that you are seeing right now is actually a simulated game and not me actually playing. I am hoping the Tigers maybe do better in this simulation, but they probably won't. I didn't bother changing the teams because honestly, I just wanted to make this video because as a footy content creator, as I am a supporter of this team, I feel like after a loss that we did this weekend, a video is kind of warranted in these circumstances. So yeah, so for those who are living under a rock this weekend or didn't actually have a chance to catch the rugby league for this weekend, Tigers have now faced their worst defeat in club history since their establishment in 2000. Now, the final scoreline was the Tigers 6, the Roosters 72. This is a shocker, as a lot of people have put it. And actually, with this weekend, in terms of rounds, in terms of every game that happened in this round, and I think it's like round 23, because there's 2 games after this. So it's round 23. There was a lot of blowouts this weekend. And out of all of them, the Tigers game was probably the worst of them all. And look, I'm not going to lie. I think Roosters played really well in that game. I think they deserved the win. But we did not deserve to lose that way. And that's honestly one of the worst ways to lose. Now, I also want to say that I actually planned to make the video straight after the game had been played, but I felt like my emotions were much more raw at that point in that game. And honestly, if I did it at that point, I would have felt like the video would have been a mess. I feel like this video is going to be a mess, but at least there's a little bit more structure to it. But I was clearly upset with the result. I'm very upset with my team. I've made that very known in a Twitter post, which I'm showing in the screen right now. And actually, Adam Dewey is actually going to score there for the West Tigers in the game, but which is a lot better because that's earlier than the last game, honestly, than the actual game that happened. By the way, this Twitter post, so back to this Twitter post, I just want to say that I do not encourage anyone to do what I am saying right now, what I did, because I'm going to be honest with you right now, this kind of behavior from fans is going to put a number on the team's mental health. Now, I was already content with this team getting the wooden spoon, and with that final result, I felt like we are definitely going to get the wooden spoon. Now, there is a chance we don't get the wooden spoon. Titans, if we win one more game, and Titans don't win any more games, I think we would need to win 2 more games. And honestly, with the teams that we have lined up, I don't see us winning both of those games. So, yeah, and especially one of them's going to be wanting a finals run. So, that will definitely be one of the challenging games at the end of the season. Now, I said in my ladder prediction video that the Tigers will get the wooden spoon, and I'm still going to stand by that. I think it's pretty certain now that they're going to get the spoon. But yeah, so my actual thoughts on the Tigers game, on the Tigers actual performance in this game, it was pretty terrible. Now, and honestly, now, obviously the players do a lot on the field compared to what like the coach does, what the administration does, etc. So there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes as well. So I'm going to mainly fault the team. I am faulting the team for this performance because honestly, losing 72-6 is not a very good look for the club. Imagine, like, we are a smaller club, like, don't get me wrong, but you got to think about this as well is that if this was to happen to a club like Brisbane or Sydney Roosters or even Melbourne Storm, like it would be like headlines and all that. Now, yeah, and obviously you can see, sorry, yeah, but I was watching the replays from the game. I ended up turning the game off halfway because there was no way they were going to come back at halftime, which I think it was 30-0 at halftime, which was like probably their worst starting, their worst half that they've ever had. I think I could be wrong there. I don't know if I'm wrong there, but obviously I knew the Roosters were just going to start slaughtering them, but to my horror, I was watching the second half like scoreline and it was just going up for the Roosters all the time. Yeah, so I'm not going to lie. So again, like I said, the performance of the West Tigers was really, really terrible. In all honesty. And look, I'm not for bashing the players. I love all my players that for the team that I follow. I think they are they do have that capability of being fantastic players. However, just last night was just, wow, I was done. I was so frustrated. Again, I don't ever recommend being sorry. I never encourage people to, I will never encourage people to go on their team's Twitter after they post their full-time post and say that they're disappointed in their team. I would never encourage that. I did it last night out of frustration. I've since taken the tweet down. I would never encourage behavior like that again, because one, it could be very bad for the player's mental health, and also two, it's just frustration. Obviously I was raw with emotions last night, and that's why I said what I said. And it's not that I don't stand by what I said. It's just, I know that the post that I put was not great, not the best. But yeah, and yeah, there's not really much else I can say. I feel there's been a lot of debate in terms of what is actually going on with the Tigers, honestly, and that is kind of up for debate on what you want to assume. Is it the coach's fault? I don't think it's the coach's fault. I think Michael Maguire was a great coach to them. The fact he was sacked, I think he was sacked a bit too premature. So I think he didn't deserve to be sacked at all. It is good we are getting Tim Sheens back for a couple years. And then we're going to get Benji Marshall, which I'm kind of excited for, because I do think Benji could bring a light into the actual team with that. And yeah, it's going to be kind of interesting to see where that goes along. But there's also a debate that it is up to it could be from the administration team as well, and that's kind of what the prime cause is, because since I believe the chair that has been in the Tigers, the head chair that has been on the Tigers board has been there since 2011, and that was actually the last time that they had been in a final. So there's a lot of debate when it comes to the again, with if it's the administration or not, and there's a whole lot of and obviously the Tigers have been the center of attention kind of this year. And as you can see, the fact that I'm actually watching this game while I'm actually doing the commentary, and it's actually 6-all, but this game, they're doing a lot better than what the actual team did last night, but it's not the actual different teams. And when it comes to players as well, they also they fault a lot of players, what are they doing on the team and stuff. I know there's a lot of target on Luke Brooks in particular, which in this game you can't really blame him because he's kind of not playing. So there you go. So it kind of proves that Brooks might not be the problem at all. I think that whole situation with Luke Brooks, by the way, and there's another player I want to talk about, and he was actually sent off in this game, and I definitely want to talk about him. So Luke Brooks, though I don't necessarily agree that he was, I don't necessarily agree that he is the primary problem. I do think he has his faults. Like I said on Twitter, I think a few weeks back, I don't agree with, I don't actually agree with the whole Luke Brooks argument. I think Luke Brooks could probably thrive at a different club. I know there are talks of him possibly going to the Dolphins, which actually that's actually one of my local clubs in terms of where I live in the country, because I'm in Queensland, obviously. So it would be pretty cool to have him at Dolphins, but also like there's been talks of Newcastle wanting to get him. And honestly, I do think that the dude should actually consider going to another club, because I think he would do a lot better than what the Tigers, because I think he's also called out the Tigers on certain leagues. He's also called out he's been frustrated with how things are going at the Tigers. And you can clearly see that within news articles and all that. And it's not just Luke Brooks too, it's other players as well that are getting kind of sick of it as well. Obviously the Tigers are going to be probably center media of attention this week. Especially, and actually it's a good thing he's actually on the screen right now. James Tamou, as you could probably see, I think in the 78th minute, James Tamou was actually sent off for basically essentially insulting the ref. Basically insulting the ref because he so originally he was sin binned for 10 minutes, which at the 78th minute you might as well send him off. But then he basically called the ref effing effing incompetent. And obviously you don't do that, because like as much as the refs all frustrate us in the entire game of rugby league, I know I've been upset with the ref, obviously, with that robbery a few weeks back with the Cowboys game, but obviously there's a lot more to the story. Obviously there's a lot more, like obviously the ref that was in charge was was Ben Cummings, which is he was the guy that actually did the 6 again call for the Raiders back in the 2019 grand final, which actually the fact he kind of helped with, well, I don't know if he helped with the Roosters or not. I try not to really weigh in on the ref unless they've actually made a blatant mistake. So I try not to blame the ref as much as other people do. But so back to James Tamou, he obviously, you could clearly see. So first of all, I honestly saw James Tamou getting sent off at one point between the Cowboys game and the final game of this year, and that was mainly because I did notice his temper was starting to build up with the ref as this season progressed. So like obviously he was getting peed off with the ref that was doing the Cowboys game, and then he was getting pissed off at the ref that was doing the Broncos game because of the injury done to Jackson Hastings. So obviously he was starting to lose his cool, and then obviously that night, last night, obviously his temper boiled, and he just pretty much let loose. But honestly, I want to give a shout out to this man, because honestly he basically owned up to his mistake in the press conference after the entire game. And honestly, I respect him. That it wasn't a script. You could tell it wasn't scripted. You can tell he was genuine. And honestly, I support the dude 100%. And although he probably hasn't been the best player within the Tigers, he's been a damn good captain. And honestly, if this does end up ending his career, I'm gonna feel really bad for the dude. Honestly, honestly, I hope he doesn't end on a really bad note. Honestly, I really want him to end on a really high note after what happened. But yeah, so I respect James Tamou for, obviously he was frustrated with the ref, he was frustrated with the Roosters, he was frustrated with his own team. I can't fault him on that. I know at the time when it happened, I was kind of disappointed, but honestly, after kind of looking at it, what happened, you can kind of understand why the dude blew up. And I respect him for it, honestly. But this has to be, I'm gonna start wrapping up now because this game is actually almost wrapped up. Essentially what the Tigers will need to do now is that they will need to take a step back and really look at what their team wants to be, who they want to keep. Technically, with I think Justin Hodges or Corey, I don't remember the guy, but he used to play for the Corey Parker. He did an interview on Fox Sports, and he basically said that the whole team needs to be put on notice. Sorry, my controller has cut out. All right, I'll get it back up. There we go. Basically, Corey Parker said that the whole club needs to be on notice. He also basically said that he felt bad for Noddy in what terms of situation. Yeah, and also can I also mention the fact I feel so bad for Noddy right now, Brett Kamali. The fact, like, honestly, I know that a few weeks ago I made I made like a bit of a joke with him saying that it was disrespectful for the Panthers to rest their best players, but honestly, dude, I feel bad for the dude. He's not going to be at the Tigers next year. I do hope at one point he does consider doing the coaching stuff, maybe with teams that he wants to play with, and hopefully he can succeed in the future. But it's kind of clear that when Tim Sheens comes in, there's going to be a lot of work that needs to be done. Now, I honestly said that Tim Sheens will get the West Tigers to a final. I didn't necessarily say a grand final, but I definitely think he can get them to a final. I honestly thought he could do that in the first year, but now that I see how the team is, I don't think so. They're going to have to really recruit to get some good players or nurture their growing players. So yeah, all in all, a very disappointing result. As you can see by the game that has transpired, obviously not a good, that is probably, we still lost, but not by much. So honestly, that game on Rugby League Live 4 was probably a lot better. I hope that was more of the situation. But yeah, last night was a complete sham. Congratulations to the West Tigers for getting the wooden spoon, I guess. There's always next year. But yeah, obviously disappointing result. So yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching.